Hello. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, doing very well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. That is Mike over there. Michael, how are you this fine morning?
Doing well. Shoved a couple waffles in my mouth and rushed down for the interview like a professional.
So the usual as we say.
Yeah, the greats,
Absolutely.
Cronkite, all of them. That's what they did.
Absolutely. It's true.
John, thank you for giving us a few minutes here. Where are you in? You're in the UK, right?
I am. I'm in very sunny at the moment, unironically, Essex. Uh, it's about to apparently be the hottest day of the year so far. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
John, your audio is like breaking up a whole bunch.
This might help for a second, but I'm also going to restart my audio.
Yeah, no rush.
All right. While Jonathan is doing that, since we don't know Celsius, me and Scott will try to guess what the number could be for a hot day in England.
We'll play
15?
Is it hot?
Yeah. Is 15 hot?
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Yeah, way better. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. So yeah, John, so it's actually sunny over there in the UK. That's like that happens like once every blue moon, correct?
Yeah. I think the last time it was sunny, the entire street kind of ran out into the street itself, and we all had a big party. No, it is a very rare occasion though for it actually to be a nice day outside.
Yeah, when I was in I did a semester in London when I was in college or whatever. And I think out of the whole semester, there's probably like 4 sunny days. So
Yeah.
Everybody's running to their doctor. What is this? And the doctor's like, that's a tan.
yeah.
Yeah.
So John, again, thank you for giving us the time here. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I guess my first question is, I was thinking about this morning, and we've had a lot of artists on the show over the last year, as far as with the pandemic and whatnot, musicians, artists, actors. And one of the questions I've been asking a lot of them is how they have survived the pandemic, how they've been creative. And I thought of you even a little bit more because opera and tenor and the power is really like, I imagine live music is really where people feel like, yeah, recordings are great and all, but live is really where the power is. How have you kind of handled the pandemic and not being able to perform live and whatnot?
Well, yeah, you are absolutely right. And to start off, let me say thank you very much for having me. Thank you for your time. But it has been a very, very strange several months. I have been fortunate enough to be able to get into the studio, but it has been basically an impossibility to produce a legitimate live concert with people in the seats. So I'm not even sure myself at the moment what I've been doing to survive over the last year. I've just been sort of subsisting and existing in the periphery of people's minds. I did manage to put on a virtual concert though, which was really cool actually, to kind of bring us into the information age, and yeah, have people who normally perhaps wouldn't be able to get across to the UK, or if I'm in wherever I'm at, for them to have an opportunity is super cool actually. And I'm grateful. We must of course find things to be grateful for and to smile about during all of this, and that's one of the things that I feel is great. Our connections, the fact that we've all been able to, I mean, even right now we're connecting through technology. That's awesome.
So what exactly is involved with that virtual concert? Like, do you just have like music, like orchestra music in the background, you're singing, or like the lack of better term, the violin people coming in on Zoom and doing it over their speaker? How's that?
That's their official title too, Mike. The violin.
Yeah, the violin people. Yeah. I googled
it. That would be really interesting because of the like slight latency of Zoom to try and have an orchestra, and that would be pretty cool. But no, it is we have the tracks from like the albums and stuff. We've got all the raw like audio files there, so we can pump that into whatever venue. Obviously we can't have a bunch of people on stage, so we replace them with their machine selves, I guess. And yeah, it was kind of, it was weird. It was kind of like recording a music video almost.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was all to camera, or yeah, it's just it really did feel completely different from normal live performances, but it was fun.
Are you starting to see light at the end of the tunnel as far as some live stuff starting to open up, or is it still kind of all in question?
Starting. It's
Yeah.
as everything sort of starts to open up, everyone is rushing to get back out there, right?
Yep.
And some people have they've worked out things with certain places, and where me and my management company were in the process of rescheduling dates that were supposed to happen at the beginning of last year. So it's all a little bit up in the air in terms of that, but we are getting them bolted down slowly.
All right, that's good. That's positive. That's a positive.
Yeah.
So let's kind of like dive into your background. And I mean, when you were growing up, were you like going to operas? Were you naturally there? Were you just a good singer and somebody pointed out, hey, you could probably get into opera? How did this journey all begin?
The strange thing is that I think the first time I saw an opera was in 2016. So
Really?
a considerable amount of time after everything. It was well, when I was young, I just I loved music in all of its forms. I danced around to the hits of the 2000s as a little 5-year-old in the living room at home, and I suppose instruments are expensive. So so I started trying to replicate the things that I heard and I could make. And it all kind of came from mimicry in a way, I guess. Eventually I did a couple of little productions in primary school, and I had some really encouraging teachers, and people's parents were really supportive of when I had this, tiny little high male voice. Yeah, and I never lost that bug for it. When that recognition, that sort of affirmation that I exist whatsoever, came from not just my parents, it was really cool.
Right.
And that feeling, I still get that to this day. So that's why I do it, I guess.
Let me ask you. So, like, I don't know if you have neighbors that live close to you, or but when here's like when you're like to practice opera. Obviously, one of the keys in opera is volume. Is volume. Like, do you have like a little soundproof area to practice, or do your neighbors basically hate you? Is what I'm saying.
A few years ago, I'm currently in this sort of little studio space that it's a few feet away from the house.
Okay.
We are very lucky to have a fairly long back garden, so we had this place built up, and I tried to make it as soundproof as I could. There's even like a booth at the back, so if I'm doing some really intense stuff or recording, I can always go in there. But I have I remember it kind of been long after I moved into this house. I didn't think I was being particularly loud, but I was singing through something. I just hear bang, bang, bang on the wall. And I instantly know I've never, since that day, I have not sung in my own room. I always go out somewhere else to do it.
I just imagine neighbor, boom. That's beautiful, but I'm trying to sleep. I have a tear in my eye and I want to close my eyes. So, I mean, you got your popularity from Britain Got Talent. Kind of give us like a feel from that experience going into it, because from everything I've saw from the TV, you were like super shy going into it. And I mean, what's kind of like that emotion going up there? Because I just always look at like opera tenor as like a next level of singing, where it's like you could be an average like country singer or pop singer, but you don't really hear about an average opera singer, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got into it. That going on the show is it is wild. Like that being like your first glimpse into how a television program is made is pretty bizarre, I will say. things, you kind of realize things. And now when I look at TV shows, I feel I can always tell when something was recorded on a different day and sort of inserted in afterwards.
Yep.
It's, you know, a great trick. If you can pull it off, it is an incredible editing trick. But I mean, we were there for quite a few hours beforehand, doing sort of the pre-interviews, doing a lot of sitting around and waiting for, you know, there are a lot of people to get through. And then eventually when you get to the backstage of the Hammersmith Apollo, like one of the best venues in London, it's daunting for sure. And I I think that the kid that you see on stage is a little more nervous than usual. It is a very particular situation, and yeah, I would do it all again if I could. That the rush, thinking about it, is incredible, and the fact that people cared at all and that it resonated with people is a genuine blessing.
Yeah, I had a question too. Like, so I know like a lot of those shows, you have a limited amount of time as far as to kind of impress quickly. And I don't know, I am not an opera expert, believe it or not, but I know a lot of the songs really, really kind of build and crescendo. Like, how do you plan for, okay, I got to kind of wow these judges kind of quickly. Like I can't like lag forever. Or did you just kind of go and do what you did? Or did you pick a piece that was a little quicker to the, to the big fireworks, if you will?
Yeah, so the prayer actually, unless I'm remembering completely wrong, we shortened it. We for me, a lot of the modern classical stuff, or the popera, as one might say, often does have a particular moment where it hits its crescendo and then it either coasts out as big or fades off steadily. And so if you can kind of cut just before that max crescendo moment, you can get a very short build up and hit something right there. And that I think is something we considered, even if subconsciously, right? So really what ended up happening is we had a certain amount of time and we just chopped off a bit of the track,
right?
and
it worked
and showed up, and it just so happened to work just about.
So let me ask you, I was thinking, opera, it's never going to be like the mainstream form of music. So what is the challenge as far as grabbing, younger audiences, newer audiences, exposing people to kind of get them in the door first and then have them fall in love? What is, like, as far as maybe the opera community or even just yourself, like a strategy that do you look for songs that you can cover that people would know? Like, what is kind of the strategy with that, or the grand outlook as far as getting new opera fans?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to say, really. I think that to be exposed to opera at a young age, you have to be a very particular type of person, and right. I am not one of those people, actually. So I think that it is a lot of the times it's random chance, really, what music you get into, and just to have more out there, to have it available, and to kind of be out there is more or less all I can do, really, right? I try nowadays. I have some interesting things bubbling away on the burners that are, I think, people won't quite expect from me, and maybe they'll be hooks for some of the younger people.
Nice.
But yeah, I my real approach is to try everything. There's no song that I won't sing because of a certain reason. I'll even hit up some hip hop.
So I was gonna say, so we could expect John a cover of Rough Riders Anthem by DMX.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
yes, you can.
I'm in. When that drops, I want you back on the show because I am in.
I will say, in research, I caught your one of Country Home, which I really, that was really good. And I'm not just saying it because you're on. I'm like, dang, I didn't think you could like opera that song, but okay, nice.
Yeah, I heard a guy online kind of singing along to it in a sort of more classical style, and I had that same reaction and thought, okay, this is something. Right. Yeah, and I love that song. it means an awful lot to me. It was at the concert that ended up being turned into a PBS special. I sang it for the lady who kind of facilitated that whole thing, and unfortunately she passed away quite recently. So it's and it will hold for the rest of my life this incredibly special place in my heart.
Out of curiosity, are you like fluent in Italian, or do you just kind of like know how to say the lyrics? I'm always kind of curious about it, because I'm kind of wondering, like, when you pick a song, do you like try to look into the background, like the meaning of it, or translate it, or can you just like go to Italy and just have a regular conversation?
He can only sing to other people. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Where is the bathroom? I need to know.
So my common thing that I say is that I'm still trying to wrap my head around English. So
Okay.
when I get through that, I'll tackle some other stuff. It really is for me about building a very particular kind of dictionary, a lexicon of like how it I guess how it differs from English is the easiest way, because there are bases of Italian in English, so there are certain things that transfer over, and then you kind of figure out what's different and you hope for the best.
Yeah. You touched on something I hadn't really thought of before. You kind of mentioned when you said you were younger and you were singing with a much higher voice, naturally as a kid. When you go through your puberty and your voice changes and is that like a giant adjustment for a performer? Like, is there a period where you're just kind of almost like in purgatory? Like, I'm not quite there with my deep voice, and I'm not quite, I can't do the high stuff anymore. Is that like a whole learning process? Like, you almost got to sit out until you can learn how to really work your voice?
I think actually that the most important thing is that you don't sit out. I think that for young male singers, this might actually be the point where a lot of them stop. I think it's a confusing age, like not only is your brain going crazy, like it's puberty, being a teenager, but then like this thing that you love doing, this hobby that you have, this thing that you think, oh, I might be able to do something with this with my life later. Right. It starts changing as well. Like it's traumatic in a way.
Yeah.
I was super lucky to have a wonderful teacher, Jenny Ewington, who guided me through having my voice break, and I would still go every week, and I would have a completely different voice every week, it felt like. But eventually it kind of settled, and thankfully it did eventually. It really does feel at points as though it never will calm down, and you'll always be like fluctuating in this strange way. But just
it's interesting.
Stick it through, be tough, believe in yourself.
Oh, I like that. All right, Mike, no, it's not too late. It's not too late for you.
Never.
You heard me sing about the bathroom. There's a chance. Jonathan,
it is never too late.
I'll give you my information if you need to send my info out to some people.
Gladly.
If you need an understudy, if you can't make it one night, Mike's got you.
Out of curiosity, when you're getting into a performance, do you have like a special routine or certain things you can't like drink or eat or something like that? Or do you kind of just like, all right, 5 minutes, I'm ready to belt out some stuff?
He shoves waffles down his throat and then he runs.
Of course. Standard operating procedure. I am generally very easygoing. I try and get as much rest as I can. I try not to sing too far ahead of an event. I try and keep it all close-ish, so it's all still warmed up. I do like to eat something warm before I sing. And I try not to eat anything that is incredibly spicy. And I do like a bit of dairy, but that's about all. I'm pretty easygoing, I think, when it comes to.
That is the most mild warm up I've ever heard. Eat something warm, some dairy, and rock out an opera concert.
Jonathan's yelling at a stagehand, "Not enough dairy, little more,
more cheese." No, it's if I'm feeling not it's not ready to go, I will hit the scales and start doing some of the weird noises.
Right.
But generally, I try and save it for the stage. That energy of like being right there is often like pretty electric, I think. And so going out there and doing my, not quite my first singing of the day, but some of that raw energy is super cool for me.
Give us a peek into like the opera community. Is it like, are you guys tight knit as far as other singers, or is it very competitive and kind of more of a solo existence, or do you guys really have like a camaraderie amongst opera singers?
It is a business in a way, right?
Yeah.
There is competition, but I've particularly for like UK singers and those who are of quite well repute, like Russell Watson. We had I went to his super nice overlooking the river flat at one point, and we kind of talked it out and sang it out. So there is like a really, again, casual kind of nice brotherhood in a way. I was on Catherine Jenkins' tour a few years ago now. So there's no like bad blood kind of thing in that way.
I was gonna say I haven't seen like a behind the music of like opera beats,
Oh man, I do think, I mean, if you had a behind the music of some of the 1600s, 1800s guys, that would be wild. But nowadays I think we're a little more relaxed about it all. But yeah, it is. We all want to get ahead. We all want to be going where we're going and doing what we're doing. And if we can help each other do that, that's awesome. If not, then that's awesome too.
Right.
I think.
I was watching your YouTube video about you coming over to the United States, and I need a little clarification on one of the stories you told. For what I understand, you were crossing the border from Canada to the United States, and because of your thyroid, they thought you had something nuclear in your car. Did I get that right?
Which is also the name of his new album, Nuclear Thyroid. Please tell us about
okay. That's my crust punk album. I have Graves' disease, which is a very scary sounding thing that just means an overactive thyroid.
Right.
And it can suck really bad if it gets bad, as with most things. So I went in. You have to go into London to like a special hospital, and basically they give you a pill that's got a radioactive isotope in it, and it kind of kills your thyroid, destroys its function, so it's never overactive again. I don't know whether to say upside or downside to this is that you become slightly radioactive. So I had to have my bed pushed away from the wall.
Wow.
So that I wasn't sleeping too close to anyone in the house. I couldn't be near pregnant women. It was a whole thing. I had a card that I had to take with me if I was traveling that said, I'm radioactive until this date. So yeah, we were trying to. I think it was from Canada to America or the other way around. I can't even remember. But we were trying to get in, and they were not having any of it. We got the lady at the booth. I believe there must be some kind of sensor that's right there. She kind of instantly warning signs going off in her head, like, okay, why is there a nuke in this person's car? And it's my manager driving us, and it's not even his car. It's his, I believe, a rental. So it's even more kind of like, whoa. So we get pulled over. We go into the immigration building, and we spend a good little while there trying to hash things out. But I get out my special card they've given me, and things steadily get smoothed out from there. I believe they also scanned me, and I came back as the radioactive object. So it ended up being confirmed.
Unbelievable. Jesus.
Quite a weird thing to happen, but yeah.
And then on top of it, he pushed his bed near his neighbor that was banging on the wall earlier. It's like, come on!
Oh, I mean, that might constitute a threat.
I can't sleep, and now my fish are dying. What the heck, Jonathan?
I mean, Marvel is now bringing out all these new like characters that people have never heard of. The radioactive opera singer is not that far off. It's not that far off from a nice origin story.
I'm crying. Yeah, it's too funny. My God.
Well, in seriousness, you recently released a version of Low C, written by Diane Warren. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, gladly. Diane is kind of an absolute legend, right? I scroll through her Wikipedia page, the credits, so like very often, and just kind of pick out super cool things. And in 2020, I was working on this album called Going the Distance, and it's sort of a pseudo autobiography and also just a concept kind of story. And we were looking for a last piece, a final song to fit it all together, really.
Right.
And so Greg Field, who is another absolute legend, who's producing the album, he just goes, "Why don't I call up my good friend Diane Warren?" As one does. Cool, fine, sure, okay.
I got her on speed dial.
Yeah. Well, don't we all? and so we get the song Compass from that for Going the Distance. And then again, similar situation, she gives us These Are the Special Times for my Christmas album. And then sometime, I think March-ish, she DMs me on Instagram just out of the blue. And of course, I already know that she's got the movie is attached, the song is attached to the movie The Life Ahead. So I already know all about it. I've seen it all. And she just messages and said, "I've got this new song, and I'd love if you put your voice on it. If you did a version of it." What am I going to say? No.
Yeah, right. Right.
Like just one of the greatest songwriters of the past 20, 30 years asking you to put your voice on one of her songs. No big deal, right? And so, a few weeks later, I am in the studio on April 1st, funnily enough, putting down those vocal tracks. And for the first time ever, harmonizing with myself on a track, which it just sort of happened. I'd had the idea. I didn't write out any harmonies. I improvised them on the day. And I'm really happy with how it turned out.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Thank you.
If somebody wanted to get into like the opera tenor field, what would be like your recommendations on the best like kind of first steps to get into the field?
Well, if you already have sort of a burgeoning interest in classical music, I would say look for those pieces that you find the most interesting. Look for pieces that fit your vocal range. It depends. It's so dependent on how deep into all of this you are. For the fledgling, for the new singers, just figuring out where your voice sits if you're an adult is very important. And then finding guidance is very key, I think, for going into this kind of singing. It's very hard to know what you're doing wrong if someone doesn't point it out to you.
Right.
And just being clear, you will do things wrong from day one, and I did things wrong. I still make technique mistakes, but just enjoy singing and don't stop. Have fun with it.
Yeah. John, I really, really have enjoyed our time here. It's a really pleasure to talk to you. You're a really awesome guy. If people want to check you out or delve into your music or see what you're up to, and what are you up to, what's coming up in your world, where can they go?
Well, thank you very much. Again, I really appreciate your time, and it's been super cool. Basically, anywhere that good music is sold, you can find me at John Antoine, JONANTOINE, or just searching Jonathan Antoine. I'm across many different social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, technically a social network. So yeah, Google me. I'm all over the place. My official website is jonathanantoinemusic.com. And I'm always posting little things about my life. I posted a video of a fox in my garden just the other day, and people went crazy for it. So yeah, if you like little tidbits, singing, and lots of other things, feel free to follow.
John, thank you so much for your time. We hope that you are getting back out there as we do see some light at the end of the tunnel as people are being vaccinated and this world's opening back up again. So hopefully there is time for you to do your art in front of people very, very shortly.
Fingers crossed, hopefully.
And final question, is Simon Cowell like Simon Cowell on TV, out of curiosity? Have you gone back to him and said in your face yet?
He's actually a super sweet guy. That's kind of the unfortunate thing in a way, right? You kind of want him to be a certain way, but he's I think the reason he's gotten as far as he has is because he can make each individual person in a room feel like they're the most important person in that room while he's still standing in there. Which I think is pretty impressive.
That's awesome. John, thank you so much, man. Stay safe out there, and maybe we'll see you when you come to the States again.
Hopefully.